Dangal greetings everyone, Dangal greetings Sir Janus. In this video, we are going to present to you our midterm research project wherein we have to make a program about library management system. But before we proceed, I'm going to show to you the overview of what our program looks like, starting off from the J-frame. On the J-frame, we had set it to non-resizable so the user won't be able to resize the window. And then we had set their location to relative. So the frame would automatically center in the computer screen. Next, inside is the content pane. We had used a JLabel to insert an image, as you can see on the right side of the screen. And on the left side, we had also used three JLabels for the title using images. And on top, we have the search query, the search button to perform the search functions, and then a JText area to display the search results. Below, around here, are yet another two text areas that is inside the scroll panes. And below here is the JTab pane where the actual managing of the library occurs. At first, we planned to just use the buttons, but it was a bit of a hassle to toggle between all buttons to show and hide the components, so we came up with the tabs. And the first tab is for adding members. Second is for adding books. Third is for borrowing the books. The fourth tab is for returning the books. And the fifth tab shows the status of the book and the member. And the sixth tab is the transaction log. Now that we're done with the overview, we're going to proceed on our codes.
Data structures. Initialize the two main data structures that are used to manage information and data in the program. The code list of books stores the data about books that are available to borrow in the library, contains title, author, genre, and the ISBN of the book. And it also shows if the book is available to borrow. While the code list member stores the data about the library members and contains the attributes like name, ID, contact details, and the membership stat. This line shows the main method, the method that is responsible for initializing and launching the program. This line shows how it creates a new object of the library management system class. This set of codes loads and set the icon image for the frame and set it up visible, while the remaining codes shows the outputs the stack trace if any exception occurs. The main method is the entry point of the program. It initializes the LMS frame, set its icon, image, and make the frame visible to the user. If any exception occurs during this process, the stack trace is printed for debugging purpose.
Dangal greetings. This is the constructor of our code. This part of the constructor code in our library management system sets up the initial properties and appearance of the graphical user interface, such as the title and the set difficult close operation. Uh, this part of code initialize the content pane with a background color, border, and layout. And for this part of code, initialize the data through array list. Books array list. This list is used to store information about books available in the library. Each element in the books array list may represent a book object containing details such as the book's title, author, ISBN, genre, and availability status. And for the members array list, this list is used to store information about library members or users. Each element in the members array list may represent a member object containing details such as the member's name, ID, contact information, membership type, borrowed books, and so on. And these lines of code in line 70 add J-level with icons to our GUI, positioning them at a specific location within the content pane. The J-level label LMS is styled as the title level with centered icon, while the label available books and label members are icon labels placed at different position on GUI. For the scroll pane, hmm. This code segment creates scrollable areas for displaying text by associating JText area with JScroll pane components. It allows for organized and efficient display of information such as books, members, and search results within our GUI. And for the tabs for tab pane, set the background color, font, and border style for each tab. Set the layout to null for custom component positioning and alignment. Calls the corresponding methods to initialize the specific functionality and components for each tab. The main part of interface is tab pane that organize different functionalities into separate tabs. Each tab is represented by a JPanel with specific background, style, and layout for customized components positioning. We've created 6 tabs, tab 1 to through tab 6, corresponding to different actions like tab 1 for adding members, tab 2 for adding books, tab 3 for borrowing books, tab 4 for returning books, tab 5 for the status of the book availability and member activity, and tab 6 for transaction log. Label used to insert background images inside the tab panes. Uh, to enhance the visual appeal, we've added background images to each tab using JLabel components, and set icons for each tab in tab pane, which is tabs.setIcon. That and the tabs.set backgrounds method is used to set background colors for the tabs. And finally, we've added the tab pane background images to the main contained pane of our application frame. And for the last, the set location relative to null method is used to ensures that the window is centered on the screen when the application starts. Overall, this setup creates an organized and visually pleasing interface for managing library operation, with each tab offering specific functionalities to the users.
Dangal greetings everyone. Dangal greetings Sir Janus. My name is Paulo Josiah Eslacap and we will be discussing two methods. So number one will be the add member method and number two will be the add book method. So starting off in the add member method, what does the add member method do? Well, it initializes the components and functionality for the add member tab below. So basically, we will be defining here that the tab one, which contains the functions for the add members. And it also sets up the text fields, buttons, labels, and checkboxes for adding a new library member. And it also defines the action performed when the add member button is clicked by the user. So right at the very beginning, as we can see here, we first created a new JLabel. The JLabel has the text name on it, and the font is set to Verdana, and it's also bold with the size of 12. We also defined where the label will be located, and then after defining the type, the size, and its position, we now finally add the new JLabel into the tab. And then we will also do the same for the ID input field. So we created a new JLabel, we set the font, we set the bounds, and then we add it to the tab. Same with the contact number. And then finally, after all the JLabels are done, we now create a new JText field for the name, for the ID, and then for the new contact, setting the fonts and the font size. So as we can see here in the text field for the new name, we have a code name, text new name that set columns 10. So what this does is it basically specifies the maximum number of visible characters for this text field. And then finally, after adding all of the JLabels and the JText fields, we will now add the button, which will contain the functionality. So basically, here's the section for the add new member button. And what this does is it initializes the button that is used to add a new member when clicked. So here we can see like we also set a specific icon for the button for visual purposes. And then here is where we will define the action of the button at the action performed. Now, what we will do first is we will retrieve first the input values that the user has inputted in the text fields and to see if they tick the checkbox. So basically, we have here the string name, and we will use that to get the text that the user has inputted into this text field. Same with the string ID, string contact, and we will use a boolean in order to check if the user selected the checkbox. But of course, with all program, we have to add error handling, especially when we're trying to gather information from the user. So we use an if statement to check for any errors and any kind of possibilities that the user may encounter. So, for example, if the name is empty, if the ID is empty, or if the contact is empty, then that will mean that all fields are not inputted. So, we will print all fields are required as a show message dialog. And then we will clear all of the field and return to the original screen. We also created many other error and handlings using an if statement. So this is for when the ID is invalid. This is for if the contact is invalid. This is for the ID and contact already exists. We also use a J option pane error message in order to emphasize that the user has made a mistake and they should retry again what they're trying to input. And this is for the ID and contact number already exists. This is if a member with the same ID exists. And then this is if a member with the same contact number already exists. If the user didn't made any errors while inputting all of the given above, then they will now move directly into the creation of a new member, and then it will be added into the members list. And it also appends the following text to the activity log to notify that an activity has happened in the program. And then it will also be displayed into the newly text area, the newly added member. And then after that, we will reset all of the input fields into blank. This is what was used to add the new member. Now, we will now set the position, alignment, and size of the add member button and add it to the tab, which is tab 1. And then after that, we will now initialize the checkbox that will be used to indicate if a member is active or not. And then we will add it to the tab 1. Alright, so now that we're done with the add member method, we will now move to the add book method. So this is for the tab 2, and we mostly use the same logic as adding the new member. So this one, it initializes the components and functionality for the add book. And yeah, it's almost the same concept as the add member method above. So we created the method, and then first we will create a new JLabel for the book title, and we define the fonts, and the font. So the font is Verdana, the font is bold, and it's also on size 12. We'll add them to the second tab. Same with the author, same with the genre, same with the ISBN. And then finally, after adding all of the labels, we will now create the text fields. So we created a new text field for the title, for the book's author, for the book genre, and for the book's ISBN. And then finally, at the very end, we will add a checkbox to indicate if currently the book is available to borrow or not. After adding all of this into the second tab, we will now move on to the add book button. So same with the add member button, we will create a new button in order to add a new book. So we created a J button, and then we used a custom image in order to give a visual representation for the user. I know that the link is currently broken right now. However, in the final code, the button is included, and the copy of the code that I currently have doesn't have the directory for the images. So then after all of that, here is the action performed of the button. So same with the add member button, we will retrieve all the strings. So we will retrieve the title, author, genre, ISBN, and then we will also create another boolean for the book's availability. And then same with the add member, we will create an error handling in case the user made a mistake. So in the very first error handling, we have here, if all of the strings are empty, we will load a J option pane, and it will show to the user that you would need to occupy all the text fields. So after that, we also have other possibilities. So if the user inputted an invalid book ISBN, this is the error handling for it. This is for when the book has the same ISBN and it already exists. This is so basically after all of this, if no one matches, then that means it's correct. So we will now move on to the creation of a new book object. Book new book is equals to new book, and then add all of the information about the book, and then finally we will add it to the library. So book adds equals to new book, and then after that we will append the book into the display area to notify everyone about the information about the book and to see that it is already on the library. And then finally, we will now clear all the input fields and reset the checkbox like we did on the add member. And then we will now append the book's availability into the activity log. And then after that, here, book tab 2, that add button add book. That's pretty much it for me. Thank you, and I will now hand off the reporting to our next member.
Dangal greetings everyone and Dangal greetings Sir Janus. I'm Radin Raya Maloles and now I will be discussing the method 3 and 4. In the method 3, the borrow book method relies on pre-existing mechanism to authenticate and process member ID and book ISBN information. Therefore, focusing only on relevant input data in order to accelerate the borrowing process. The method supports code maintainability and guarantees a more seamless user experience by sticking to this simple direction. In this line, we declared a method named initializeBorrowBookPanel, which takes a jpanel name tab3 as a parameter. Perhaps this function is component of a bigger class that handles graphical user interface management. Now, let us proceed to the labels. In this line, we added a JLabel component labeled as member ID. The font is set to Verdana with bold style and size to 12. The component is positioned at 10 pixels from the left edge and 31 pixels from the top edge. It has a width of 101 pixels and a height of 14 pixels. In the ISBN JLabel is same as the JLabel of the member's ID, that the font is set to Verdana with bold style and size to 12. The component is positioned at 10 pixels from the left edge and 72 pixels from the top edge. It has a width of 46 pixels and a height of 21 pixels. The JText field named txtborrow member and txtborrow ISBN is served as the input field specifically designed to entering member's ID and ISBN. Now, let's move on to the functionality of the J button named BTN Borrow Book. The icon is set with the image we provided. The variable member's ID retrieves the text entered in the txt borrow member JText field, and the variable ISBN retrieves the text entered in the txt borrow ISBN JText field. These lines of code are used to search for a book and a member in the library system based on a specific criteria ISBN for books and member ID for members by calling respective methods find book by ISBN and find member by ID. In validating the input, check if either the member's ID or ISBN fields are empty. If so, it displays an error message and returns indicating that all fields are required. If the member is not found in the library, it declares an error message indicating that the member is not found and clears the member ID field. If the book is not found in the library, it displays an error message indicating that the book is not found and clears the ISBN field. If the book is not available, it displays an error message indicating that the book is unavailable, clears the ISBN field, sets focus on the member ID field, and returns. If all validation pass, it updates the book and members records. The purpose of find book is to add the books to the list of borrowed books for a member, while the find book that set available object to false marks the book as unavailable. After that, it includes essential data to the text fields, txta log, and txta book availability in order to record the availability of books and borrowing activities. This code segment updates the book availability status and logs relevant information about book availability and member activity in the respected text areas. It also activates a member if they were previously inactive and logs this activity. Now, turning our attention to the method 4. This code initializes the component and functionality for the return book tab of a library management system. The labels LBL return book and LBL return ISBN are created to indicate where the user should input the member ID and ISBN of the book they want to return. Text field txt return member and txt return ISBN are provided for users to input the member ID and ISBN respectively. The button "Witty and Return Book" is created with an icon for users to initiate the return process. An icon listener is added to the return book, "Witty and Return Book" to handle user actions when the button is clicked. Inside the action listener, the code retrieves the text entered by the user in the txt return member and txt return ISBN text fields, representing the member's ID and ISBN of the book to be returned. Invalidating the input, the code checks if either the member ID or ISBN fields are empty. If either is empty, an error message is displayed, prompting to the user to fill in all fields. It verifies if the entered member ID corresponds to an existing member and if the entered ISBN corresponds to an existing book. If either is not found, an appropriate error message is displayed. If the book is available, meaning it hasn't been borrowed, then an error message is shown. In find member that has borrowed book, it ensures that member has actually borrowed the book. If not, it displays an error message. In processing return, find member that remove borrowed book. This line of code represents the action of removing a particular book from the list of borrowed books associated with specific member. This action typically performed when the member returns a book to a library. After the return, the system performs several actions to update the records and log the activity. First, it removes the book from the member's list of borrowed book. Then, it marks the book as available for borrowing again by calling find book that set available to object true. Subsequently, it sets the member as inactive using find member that set active to object false to maintain a record of the return. A log entry is appended to txt log documenting the books returned by a member. Additionally, the system assesses the book availability status in the TXTA book availability and records the member's activity status change in TXTA member activity. These steps ensure accurate tracking of library processing and member engagement. After the completion of the return process, the system proceeds to the clear to the text fields for both the member ID and ISBN. This achieved through the use of specific commands. The return member that set text clears the member ID text field while the return ISBN set text clears the ISBN text field. By resetting these fields to empty values, the interface is effectively prepared for the next interaction, ensuring a clean and ready state for users to input new information. This step contributes to the smooth and efficient operation of the library management system, facilitating seamless transition between different tasks or interactions. So that concludes my report. So I'll pass the floor to the next reporter. Thank you.
Greetings everyone, I'm Ava Jess Franco and I'm one of the members of this group. So, I'm here to talk about the Private Void Initialize Status Panel or JPanel tab 5. This declares a method named Initialize Status Panel that takes a JPanel parameter named tab 5. The method is used to set up the user interface components related to the status panel. In the next line, we are going to talk about the JScroll pane. Scroll pane number 4 equals to new JScroll pane, open and close parentheses, semicolon. Here, a new scroll pane component named scroll pane 4 is created. Scroll panes allows for displaying content that exceed the visible area, providing scrolling functionality. The next line is scroll pane 4 that set bounds 13, 37, 307, 102, that semicolon. This line sets the position and size of the scroll pane within its parent container. Tab 5. The 4 parameter represents x coordinate, y coordinate, width, and height respectively. The next line was tab 5 that add scroll pane 4 semicolon. In this line sets the position and size of the scroll pane within its parent container. The scroll pane is added to the panel tab 5. This ensures that the scroll pane is displayed within the status panel. In the next line, we have the txt a book availability equals to new JText area, open and close parentheses, semicolon, a new text area component named txt a book availability is created. Text areas are used for displaying multiple lines of text. The next line, we have textbook availability set font, new font, monospaced, font bold, the size is 12, semicolon. In this line, it sets the font for the text area to monospaced with bold styling and a font size of 12 points. Next line is txt a book availability that set editable that false. The set editable false method is called to make the text area to be a read-only, preventing the user input. The next line, we have the scroll pane 4 that set view txt a book availability semicolon. This set the view of the scroll pane to display the text area txt a book availability. Any content added to txt a book availability will be visible within the scroll pane. The subsequent lines follows a similar or familiar pattern to configure another scroll pane 5, and it's associated with text area txt a member activity for displaying member activity. So we will proceed to the JLabel. JLabel LBL book availability equals to new JLabel book availability semicolon. A new label component named LBL book availability is created within the textbook availability. Next line is LBL book availability that set font, new font show card Gothic, font plain, and the size is 13. This line sets the font for the label to show card Gothic with plain styling and a font size of 13 points. Okay, to the next line is LBL book availability that set the horizontal alignment. Open parentheses swing constants that center, close parentheses, then semicolon. The set horizontal alignment, open and close parentheses method sets the horizontal alignment of the label's text to the center. So the next line is LBL book availability set bounds 13, 13, 307, 17, and semicolon. This line sets the position and size of the label within its parent container. The tab 5 that add LBL book availability. Finally, the label LBL book availability is added to the panel tab 5 to display the book availability section within the status panel. This method sets up the layout and components necessary for displaying book availability and member activity within the status panel of the user interface. Now we are going to talk about logs tab method. It initializes the components and functionality for the logs tab. So the first one is private void initialize logs panel jpanel tab 6. This declares a method named initialize logs panel that takes a jpanel named tab 6. As a parameter, this method initializes the components and functionality for the logs tab of the GUI or GUI. The next line is for adds a scroll pane for displaying the library logs. Scroll pane 8 equals to new scroll pane, open and close parentheses, then semicolon. This creates a new scroll pane named scroll pane 8 to display the library logs. Then scroll pane 8 that set bounds then 2914 596 and 126 semicolon. This sets the position and size of the scroll pane within the logs tab. The next line is tab 6 that adds scroll pane 8 semicolon. This adds the scroll pane to the logs tab 6. For the next line, it adds a text area for displaying the library logs. So txt alog equals the new JText area, open parentheses and close parentheses, semicolon. This creates a new text area named txt alog for displaying the library logs. Next line is text alog dot set font, new font, Verdana font, bold 14. This set the font of the text area to Verdana with a bold style and font size of 14. Next line is text alog that set alignment x component that left alignment semicolon. This sets the horizontal alignment of the text area to the left. Text alog that set editable false semicolon. This makes the text area non-editable, meaning users cannot modify its content. The next line, scroll pane 8 that set viewport view txt alog semicolon. This sets the text area as a viewable component of the scroll pane, ensuring that the library logs are displayed within the scroll pane. The next line is initialize search panel, open and close parentheses, semicolon. This initializes the search panel for searching library logs by calling another method named initialize search panel. So the next line is private void initialize search panel, open and close parentheses. The txt search equals to new JText field, open and close parentheses, semicolon. This creates a new text field named txt search for entering search queries. Next line, txt search the set font, new font, Verdana, font bold, and size 12, semicolon. This sets the font of the text field to Verdana with a bold style and font size of 12. The search set columns 10, semicolon. This sets the maximum number of visible characters in a text field to 10. Next line is txt search that set bounds 20, 105, 545, and 33, semicolon. This sets the position and size of the text field within the GUI. So we are here now at the search button. It initializes a button for starting a search. Okay, so jbutton btn search equals new jbutton quotation mark semicolon. This line creates a new jbutton named btn search with no text label initially. So the next line is btn search that set icon, new image icon, then quotation mark image search that jpeg quotation mark semicolon. This line sets the icon of the search button to an image located at the specified file path. Next line is btn search that add action listener, new action listener, then open and close parentheses, then curly bracket. So in this line, this block of code adds an action listener to the search button. When the button is clicked, the action performed method is triggered. The next line is public void action performed action event E, then curly bracket. This method is invoked with when the search button is clicked. It retrieves the text entered into the search field, clears and display the area for search results, and then perform search. txt search that get text, open and close parentheses, then semicolon. In this line, retrieves the text entered into the search field, such as txt search, and assigns it to the variable query. The next line is txt search display that set text, then open and close quotation mark, semicolon. This line clears the display area txt a search display. where search result will be shown. Then error handling. It validates if search query is empty. If query is empty, then open and close quotation mark, then curly bracket, J option pane, then J option pane that show message dialog, quotation mark, please enter a search query, then quotation mark, error, then quotation mark, then J option pane dot error message, and semicolon. Wherein this line is the checks if the search query is empty. If it is, an error message dialog is displayed prompting the user to enter a search query. Then in the next line, we have the searches for books based on the query. Then list book search results 1 equals to search book query semicolon. Then for book colon search results 1, then curly bracket, txt a search display that append book that to string open and close parenthesis plus n semicolon. In this one, the list book search results 1 equals to search book query semicolon. In this line, calls a method named search books query to search for a book based on the query entered. Then the search results are stored in a list named search result 1. The next line is open parenthesis and book colon search results 1 close parenthesis and curly bracket. This loop iterates over the search results for books search results 1 and appends each book's information to the search display area txt a search display and semicolon. List member search results 2 equals to search members query semicolon. This line calls a method named search member query to search for members based on the query entered. The search results are stored in a list named search results 2. The next line is for members colon search results 2 curly bracket. This loop iterates over the search results for members search results 2 and appends each member's information to the search display area txt a search display btn search that set bounds 575 105 89 and 33 semicolon. In these lines, it sets the position and the size of the search button within the GUI. Then the content pane that add btn search semicolon. This line adds the search button to the content pane of the GUI, and the remaining button starts with the searches for a book in the library based its ISBN. Private book, find book by ISBN string, ISBN, curly bracket. In this line, it declares a method name, find book by ISBN, that takes a string parameter named ISBN and returns an object of the type book. Next line is for book colon books curly bracket. This line starts a loop that iterates through each book object and in the book collections. Next line is if book get ISBN open and close parentheses that trim open close parentheses that equals to ISBN that trim open and close parentheses then curly bracket. This line checks if the ISBN of the current book after removing leading trailing white space is equal to the provided ISBN after removing the provided ISBN. Then the return book semicolon. It returns the book if found. Then the return null semicolon returns null if not found. Searches for library member by their ID. Then private member find member by ID string ID curly bracket. In this line, it declares a method name find member by ID that takes a string parameter named ID and returns an object of the type member. For member colon members, this line starts a loop that iterates through each member object in the members collection. Then if member get ID, open close parenthesis that equals open parenthesis ID, close parenthesis, then curly bracket. In this line checks if the ID of the current member is equal to the provided. Then return member. In this line, if a member with a matching ID is found, it is returned. And return null, semicolon, returns nulls if not found. If no member with the matching ID is found after the iterating through all members, the method returns null. And the number 3 was the searches for a library member via their contact number. Private member find member by contact, string contact, curly bracket. This line declares the method name find member by contact that takes a string parameter named contact and returns an object of type member. For member, colon member, curly bracket. In this line starts a loop that iterates through each member objects in the members collection. If member get contact, open and close parentheses that equals contact, curly bracket. In this line, it checks if the contact member of the current member is equals to provided contact member. Then return number returns the member if found. If a member with a matching contact number is found, it is returned. Then the return null if it is not found, and if no member with a matching contact number is found after iterating through all members, the method returns null.
In method 8, it defines a method named findBookISBN that takes a string parameter called ISBN which represents the ISBN of a book, and it loops through each book object in a collection called books. It loops through each book object in a collection called books, and for each book, it checks if the ISBN of the book matches the provided ISBN. If a match is found, it returns the book object. If no match is found after checking all books, and it returns null, indicating that the book with the given ISBN was found in the collection. Overall, this method allows you to find a book by its ISBN within a collection of books. While in method 9, it is a private method named findMemberById, which takes a string ID as input and returns a member of object, and iteration through members. For this loop, iterates through each member of object in the collection called members. Inside the loop, it checks if the ID of the current members matches the ID passed up to the method return member. And if a member with the matching ID is found, it returns the member. And for the return null, if the loop completes without finding a matching member, it returns null, indicating that no member with the specified ID was found in the collection. And for the method 10, code is a method called findMemberByContact that searches for a member by their contact information in a list of members. It goes through each member in the list and checks if the contact information matches that input. If it finds a member with a matching contact, it returns that member. If no member is found with the given contact, it returns null, indicating that no member was found.
And now let us move on to the 11th method. Certainly, this method searches for books based on a given query string. Let's break down what each part of the method does. Number 1, method signature. Private list book, search books string query. This method is named search books and takes a string parameter named query, which represents the text to search for. Number 2, initialization. List book results equals to new array list. This line initialize an empty list called results of type book to store the books that match the search criteria. Number 3, we have search process for book, book, colon, books. This loop iterates over each book object in a collection of books. The books collection is assumed to be a list of array containing book objects. Number 4, search criteria. Inside the loop, the method checks if the current book object matches the search query based on the following conditions. Book that get title that to lowercase that contains query to lowercase checks if the book's title convert to lowercase for case insensitive comparison contains the search query. Book that get author that to lowercase that contains query to lowercase checks if the book's author also convert to lowercase contains the search query. And next we have book that get genre that to lowercase that contains query that to lowercase to check if the given book genre contains the search query. And lastly, book that get ISBN the to lowercase that contains query that to lowercase checks if the book's ISBN in lowercase contains the search query. Number 5, adding the results. In any of the conditions are true. For example, if the book matches the search query, the book is added to the results list using results that add book. And lastly, returning results. Finally, the method returns the results which contains all the books that match the search query. And now, let us move on to the last method, which is method number 12. This method, search member, is designed to search for library members based on a provided query string. Let's go through how this method works step by step. Number 1, method signature. Private list member, search member, string query. This method is named search member and takes a string parameter named query, which represents the text to search for. Number 2, initialization. List member results equals new array list. This line initializes an empty list called result of type member to store the member that match the search criteria. Number 3, search process. For member colon members, this loop iterates over each member object. In a collection of library members, the members collection is assumed to be a list of array containing member object. And number 4, search criteria. Inside the loop, the method checks if the current member object matches the search query based on the following conditions. First, member that get name that to lowercase that contains query dot to lowercase checks if the member's name contains the search query. Number 2, member dot get ID that to lowercase that contains query that to lowercase checks if the member's ID contains the search query. And lastly, member that get contact that to lowercase that contains query to lowercase check if the member's contact information contains the search query. And now let us move on to number 5, which is adding results. If any of the conditions are true, for example, If the member matches the search query, the member is added to the results list using result.addMember. And lastly, number 6, returning results. Finally, the method returns the results list, which contains all the members that match the search query based on their name, ID, or contact information.
Dangal greetings everyone. I am Elmer Birabon, and in this video, I will going to discuss to you the second class that we use in our library system. So this class is named book because it represents a book in a library. This class is also designed to imitate the features and attributes of books in a library setting. Discrete private string variables with the names title, author, genre, ISBN, and available are defined to store. So this current variable of the class is equals to the variable outside the class where it was called. Then the primary features of every book, including the title of the book, the author's name, the genre or the category of the book, the ISBN number, and the availability of the book. So in order to do that, we have to ensure the smooth developing and accurate representation of each book illustration. So this class will also contains a constructor method that is designed to initialize a book object with the values given or the given information for these essential components. And in order to improve accessibility and functionality of a set of getter methods, which include getTitle, getAuthor, getGenre, getISBN, and isAvailable, are designed to make it easier to retrieve specific information about a book. So you can see a string getTitle which calls to retrieve the title of the book. Then the return title, it will return the title that exists in the data. You can see the string getAuthor that retrieves the name of the author, the string getGenre that retrieves the genre of the book, the string getISBN which retrieves the ISBN of the book, and the boolean isAvailable that checks the book's availability status. So in addition, we use a setter function named setAvailable boolean available that allows users to dynamically update a book's availability status and enables real-time tracking and control of its borrowing status. Further improves the versatility of the class. So this boolean available sets the book's availability to the value specified by the user. This formatted representation shows the book's title, the author, the genre, the ISBN, and availability status in a graphical and in a not complicated way, allowing for better readability and understanding. And we also use toString method that is modified and overridden in order to generate a formatted string representation of every book. So this strings to string will returns a formatted string to display using the variables of a book. So basically, the book class functions as a durable and complete design, providing the required structure and features for effective administration and engagement with individual books in a library setting. And it allows for smooth library resource organization and retrieval.
So I am here to discuss or explain about the second class, which uh, which is defined as a member class that represents a member in a library. Here's an explanation for each part. First is the instance variables, which are name, ID, contact. These variables store the member's name, ID, and contact information. Active, a Boolean variable indicating whether the member is active or not. Borrowed books, a list that stores the books currently borrowed by the member. Uh, the second is the constructor. Member, string name, string ID, string contact, Boolean active. Initializes the member object with the provided details and creates an empty list for borrowed books. Getter and setter methods. Getter methods like get name, get ID, get contact, and is active, retrieve the corresponding member information. The setter method set active, Boolean active, updates the active status of the member. And for the book management methods, borrow book adds a book to the list of borrowed books. Has borrowed book checks if the member has borrowed a specific book. Remove borrowed book removes a book from the list of borrowed books. String method. This one overrides the toString method to provide a string representation of the member object. And it also includes the member's name, ID, contact, active status. This one is converted to yes or no and a separator line. Overall, this class encapsulates the essential information and functionalities related to a library member, including managing borrowed books and providing a string representation for display purposes.